హలో ఫ్రెండ్స్, వెల్కమ్ టు అవర్ ఛానల్. ఈరోజు వీడియోలో మెయిన్గా మనం డిస్కస్ చేయబోయేటువంటి టాపిక్ ఏంటంటే యూపీఎస్సీ 2025 మెయిన్స్ ఆప్షనల్ పేపర్ పిఎస్ఐఆర్ ఆప్షనల్ పేపర్. ఈరోజు మనకి ఆప్షనల్ పేపర్ కంక్లూడ్ అయింది కాబట్టి అసలు ఈ యొక్క పిఎస్ఐఆర్ ఆప్షనల్ పేపర్ ఫస్ట్ ఇంప్రెషన్ ఏంటి అనేది ఈ టాపిక్ ఈ వీడియోలో మనం మెయిన్గా డిస్కస్ చేయబోతున్నాం అనమాట. ఓకే, సో ఫస్ట్ ఆఫ్ ఆల్ ఈరోజు మెయిన్స్ ఎవరైతే రాశారో మీరు వాళ్ళు మెయిన్స్ రాసిన వాళ్ళని అబ్జర్వ్ చేసినట్టయితే కనుక పేపర్ వచ్చేసి మనకి మోడరేట్ టు డిఫికల్టీ ఉంది అని చెప్పేసి స్టూడెంట్స్ చెప్తున్నటువంటి ఒపీనియన్. ఎస్పెషల్లీ కొంతమంది ఈవెన్ సీనియర్ స్టూడెంట్స్ కూడా పేపర్ 2లో స్ట్రగుల్ అవ్వడం కూడా మనం చూస్తున్నాం. అండ్ పేపర్ 1లో ఎస్పెషల్లీ 1Bలో ఎక్స్పెక్ట్ చేసినంతగా పేపర్ అనేది అంత ఈజీగా లేదు. సో మనం ఆ పేపర్ గురించి ఎస్పెషల్లీ ఇన్ దిస్ వీడియో వీఆర్ గోయింగ్ టు మెయిన్లీ డిస్కస్ అబౌట్ పేపర్ 1. ఓకే, ఇన్ పేపర్ 1 వీ విల్ మెయిన్లీ డిస్కస్ అబౌట్ పేపర్ 1 సెక్షన్ A గురించి మనం డిస్కస్ చేయబోతున్నాం. ఇన్ కేస్ ఇఫ్ ఈ డిస్కషన్ మీకు ఫ్రూట్ఫుల్గా అనిపించి ఆబ్వియస్లీ యూస్ఫుల్ అవుతుంది మీకు నెక్స్ట్ ఇయర్కి అని అనిపిస్తే కనుక డెఫినెట్లీ మీరు కమెంట్ సెక్షన్లో ఇంక్లూడ్ చేయండి. ఐ విల్ ట్రై టు ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ ద సెక్షన్ B యాజ్ వెల్ యాజ్ ద పేపర్ 2 ఆల్సో. ఓకే, సో ఫస్ట్ ఆఫ్ ఆల్ ద ఓవరాల్ ఇంప్రెషన్ ఆఫ్ ద PSIR paper is about moderate to difficult. Okay, paper 2 is more about somewhat difficult to handle, and in paper 1 especially paper 1A it was mainly focused on some specific thinkers, some specific critics, okay, like Macpherson as well as Popper, specifically nuance based ante కొద్దిగా స్పెసిఫిక్గా అడిగారు క్వశ్చన్ పేపర్ 1A, whereas in paper 1B it was more about application based. Okay, much application, for example delimitation, JNK, that kind of application based questions we have seen in this paper 1B. ఒకసారి ట్రై చేద్దాం. సో విల్ ట్రై టు చెక్ వన్ బై వన్. సో ఫస్ట్ ఆఫ్ ఆల్ ఓవరాల్ స్టాండర్డ్ అయితే కనుక పేపర్ 1, ఓకే, పేపర్ 1 యాజ్ వెల్ యాజ్ పేపర్ 1A and paper 1B, ఇవి రెండు కూడా పేపర్ 1A పొలిటికల్ థాట్స్ as well as 1B Indian government and politics, almost all they are closely related to syllabus. Whatever they mentioned in the syllabus, it was reflected in the paper. It was not went beyond the syllabus. That is the first observation. For example, ఇక్కడ మీరు చూస్తే కనుక approaches to political theory and theories of state, democracy, liberty, fascism, Rawls theory of justice, Arendt, Gandhi, as well as John Locke, more or less all these topics are already mentioned in the syllabus. That means if you are somewhat referred the syllabus, okay, in a wide way, wide range, okay, then you will easily answer these kind of questions. We will see. And even 1B, in 1B questions related to Parliamentary Committees, Article 143, federalism, EC appointment, okay, this is also one of the question. And NHRC, panchayats, land reforms, planning. So all these kind of topics are directly related to your syllabus copy. So our first takeaway is more or less PSIR paper 1, especially 1A 1B, it is closely related to syllabus, but the way of questioning is somewhat different compared to previous years. Okay, what is the difference? We will try to examine. Nature of question: most of the questions they are testing the conceptual clarity as well as analytical ability as well. Especially for example, questions are related to comparison. Okay, there is one question that is about comparing of fascism in Italy and Germany. These kind of questions are demanding conceptual clarity as well as comparing between two models of fascism. Okay, and normative evaluation. What do you mean normative evaluation? Normative evaluation means the evaluation according to various scholars and various philosophy, various ideas. Okay, so question paper ee pattern lo adigaru questions. And applied sections, especially like J&K post 2019, caste census, ECA appointment, census delimitation. So these are the much related to the contemporary current affairs 1B. Okay, 1B is much related to application based, whereas 1A is about comparing, contrasting and criticizing and normative evaluation. So this is about nature of question. So first we discussed about overall coverage, whether questions are related to syllabus or not. That means yes. And the second one is nature of questions, 1A as well as 1B. Next, difficulty level. So most of these questions are moderate to highly difficult. Okay, so for example, this question paper, it particularly tested certain specific areas, nuanced angles. For example, Macpherson view on power and philosophical versus behavioral approaches, multicultural. Okay, so how equality and liberty is related to the multicultural society. This is also the very specific point regarding the liberty, and legitimacy was through consent as well as the indoctrination. Indoctrination అంటే ఏంది, ఏదైనా ఒక ఐడియాలజీని స్టేట్ అనేది పీపుల్ పైన ఇంపోజ్ చేసినట్టయితే దాన్ని మనం ఇండాక్రినేషన్ అంటాం. దట్ మీన్స్ ఇంపోజింగ్ ఎ పర్టికులర్ ఐడియాలజీ ఫోర్స్ఫుల్లీ బై ద స్టేట్స్ on their subjects, that is known as indoctrination. So this particular, these are range of questions, difficulty level moderate to high level. And in section B, I already mentioned that majority of the questions, they are testing constitutional reasoning in relation to the recent incidents. Okay, mostly application oriented one, 1B, and 1A is completely related to like theoretically dense questions. Okay, so this is about difficulty level. We discussed about 3 areas: coverage, syllabus, nature of questions, and difficulty level. Now UPSC 2025, in this one, like we discussed, so it was specifically they were asking about, questions are asking about particular people, they are not well named thinkers. For example, these are not like Plato, Aristotle. Okay, so these questions are much giving much importance to specific people like Popper, Macpherson. It is showing that they are going out of the comfort level related to named thinkers, but still it is within the syllabus. So if you are preparing for UPSC mains, obviously your approach should be in a very wide range of reading. మీరు కొద్దిగా ఎక్కువ టాపిక్స్ని కవర్ చేస్తూ చదువుకోవాల్సి ఉంటుంది. దాంతోపాటు, so here this question is related to interdisciplinary. For example, this question is linking feminism, okay, feminism with society, identity, and institutions. In the same way, multiculturalism question and legitimacy and hegemony question. So these are the range of questions which are linking various areas of a society. So this is about question paper nature and how the questions are being asked, especially paper 1 point of view. Now we'll try to do some detailed analysis regarding the paper 1 in that section A. In paper 1 section A, we will try to do some detailed analysis regarding these questions. So first నేను మీకు ఇక్కడ question read out చేస్తాను. I'll read out the question and we will go through various topics and various dimensions related to that particular question. So this question, the first question is a compulsory question. You have to attempt this question. This first question consists of 5 sub questions. Each one carry 10 marks. That means the first question is about 50 marker question. So in this first question, 1A, explain the philosophical approach to the study of political theory. So this is the question. Okay, philosophical approach to the study of political theory. So this is completely related to the political theory meaning and approaches unit, syllabus point of view. It is demanding the conceptual clarity regarding what is the philosophical approach in nature, what is the scope of the philosophical approach, what kind of methods, and how it is different compared with the empirical, behavioral, and normative focus. And this one is so is this continuous with previous year questions? Obviously this trend is continuous with the previous year questions, because UPSC in previous year questions also it continuously testing the various approaches. Okay, so this is easy to tackle, okay, if you are very good with the concept. So this is about the 1A. Next, 1B, write a note on the relationship between equality and liberty from the multicultural perspective. See here the question is linking liberty and equality in which kind of society? In multicultural society, that means pluralistic society. Okay, so now let's see the syllabus link. So here the syllabus mapping, equality and its relation with freedom, rights, feminist, post-colonial, and multicultural. So here the question is especially regarding how the equality and liberty related to multicultural society. So this question is exclusively demanding analytical thinking of the candidates. Okay, and they have to compare and contrast liberty and equality with respect to cultural pluralism. Okay, like countries like India, and it is somewhat deviated from the previous year's questions, because in previous years multiculturalism was not much emphasized in previous year questions. So this is somewhat relatively so deviation from the previous year trend. regarding the multiculturalism and equality and liberty in relation to multiculturalism. Next, question number 1C. Explain the Macpherson view on power. This question is exclusively asking about Macpherson views on power. Okay, this is a very specific one. Generally, we read about power and various theories of powers, but here they are specifically asking about Macpherson views. Okay, first we'll see syllabus mapping. It is about related to concept of power, hegemony, and ideology and legitimacy. Here, Macpherson extends power related to the possessive individualism. So this question is demanding about conceptual clarity related to implication of power related to liberal democracy and equality. And the trend is about, it is also shifted, deviated from the previous years, because Macpherson was previously, less emphasized. So what kind, so what kind of approach will be rewarding? So if a student is having very broad range of reading, okay, obviously if a student with a wide reading, they can answer these kind of questions, okay, like Macpherson views on power and all. So this is the question 1C. Next, 1D. Mention the difference between Italian and German brands of fascism. Okay, so here this question is about not only related to fascism, it is trying to testing the knowledge of fascism in Italy and how it is comparatively, how this can be comparable with the German fascism. So here we have to take the approach of comparing and contrasting. Okay, now let's see. So this is question 1D, Italian and German fascism. Here the syllabus mapping is about political ideologies, fascism. We all know that fascism is all about excessive inclination towards one country. Okay, so nationalism in negative sense, it is fascism, and fascism theory mainly proposed by and supported by Mussolini in Italy. Okay, this question is demanding comparative features. That means obviously how this fascism can be compared between this inter-ideology. So within the fascism, within one ideology, again how that ideology is grown between two countries. For example, communism is a broad ideology, but the communism in China is different from communism in Russia. In the same way, fascism, how the fascism in Italy is differs from the fascism in German. Okay, so the features like corporatism, nationalism, and racialism, and how the party and state fused together, especially this Nazi party and German state, leadership cult, especially regarding the Germany, and how the various factors like economy and church, they played important role. So these are the things we have to cover, especially when we are dealing with question 1D. Now let's see question 1E. Okay, so 1E, explain briefly the elitist theory of democracy. We all know that elitist theory of democracy is particularly saying that, okay, so in democracy, power will be concentrated with only few people. Okay, now let's see details regarding this particular question 1E. Okay, so syllabus mapping, it is related to democracy, and in democracy various theories. One of the theories about the elitist theory of democracy. Here, so thinkers such as Pareto, Mosca, and Schumpeter, and their criticism of this elitist theory, and obviously we have to include few points regarding the participatory model, because this elitist model is completely opposite to this participatory and deliberatory model. In deliberative model, it expects more participation from the people compared to elitist model. Okay, and this is the regularly routine question. It is within the bounds of the syllabus. So out of this entire question number 1, okay, so 1A and 1E, 1A and 1E, these are in line with the traditional pattern of questioning, whereas B, C, D, these questions are deviated from the previous year questions. Okay, this is about question number 1 in section A. Now let's see question number 2. So this question number 2, 2A, what is the Marxist and liberal approach? It is asking about Marxist approach as well as the liberal approach towards the state. So this particular question is heavily concept oriented. So you should know clearly about Marxist view about the state as well as the liberal view about the state. We all know that Generally, Marxists believe that state is run by the capitalist. That is the reason ultimately they wanted the stateless society. Anyhow, we will see on what grounds the theoretical differences between them are premised. Explain. So this is 20 marker question, and this is clearly in syllabus point of view. In syllabus mapping, it is related to theories of state. You have to be very good with the liberal as well as the Marxist theories, and this question is demanding compare and contrast, okay, between the Marxist as well as the liberals in terms of coercion and consent, and with respect to property and class, and regarding the how the society, and what grounds, like what kind of methods they are using, and what is their views regarding the human nature, and their views on the class analysis. This is completely like core concept oriented question, and in this examiner expects a clear concept from you, and you have to do this comparison model either in the tabular format or in whichever the way you are comfortable. You have to compare and contrast between these two theories regarding the state. This is about 2A. With respect to 2B, okay, 15 markers, Karl Popper presents a defensive of the open society against its enemies. You all know that, okay. Karl Popper popularly describes this Plato's society is an enemy of the open society, and like this question requires a broad knowledge of the entire paper 1A. Okay, if you have a broad knowledge, then obviously you can tackle this question of this 15 markers. Let's see 1B, syllabus mapping. It is regarding the democracy and the critiques of the historicism and the normative theory of politics. This question is related to. It demands, obviously, so analytical exposition like falsification and piecemeal social engineering, like how governments are trying to win over masses by announcing some populist methods, and how these methods are enemies to the society, and regarding that enemy of the open society like Plato's and Marx and Hegel. So this requires a wider thinking. If you have a good knowledge regarding the political science, you can at least able to answer 50% of the question. Otherwise, this question is very difficult to answer. Okay, what is your take on this? Okay, how you felt about this question? Okay, so what kind of difficulties you faced while you are answering this question, try to put your comments. So next one, and 2C. 2C is about explain how John Rawls used liberal and egalitarian perspective to develop his concept of distributive justice. This question is more or less traditionally asking question. So let's see. With respect to syllabus mapping, it is related to justice concept, and we all know that John Rawls is very popular for this veil of ignorance. Okay, justice and communitarian critique, and this question demanding the original position and two principles like liberal as well as egalitarian principles, and difference between these two principles. And this trend is about this perennial favorite. That means this theme is recurring. It is constantly coming in UPSC mains question. So you should be very good with this concept of justice and John Rawls' view on justice. This is about question number 2. Okay, now let's see question number 3. Provide a comparative analysis of behavioral. Okay, this question is about keywords, behavioral and institutional approach to the study of political theory. Again, this question is a standard one. Okay, 20 markers one. And B, and this 3B. State does the greatest harm to mankind by destroying individuality, which lies at the root of all progress, according to Mahatma Gandhi. This is about how state is destroying, how state is harming to the mankind by destroying the individuality. Okay, 15 markers. And 3C, explain how the slogan the personal is political. This question is related to feminism and the issue of women's oppression and discrimination. So this is regarding state, how the state is interacting with the individuality. 3A is related to comparative political theory, and 3C is related to feminism. Let's see detailed analysis. Okay, 3A. In syllabus point of view, this is related to approaches to political theory. This requires comparative analysis again between the behavioral approach as well as the institutional approach. Here, thinkers like David Easton and Almond, okay, Gabriel Almond, okay, and their views on the institutionalism, old one as well as the new one you have to include, okay. And trend, obviously UPSC continues to test, like how do you know about this kind of approaches and how they are relevant to the present days. So this is like in continuous with the previous year questions trend. Next 3B, Gandhi's one. This is regarding to Indian political thought, Gandhism as well as political ideology. So this is about state versus Swaraj. So Gandhiji was mainly supporting the decentralization. With respect to that, Gandhiji was saying that if there is no decentralization, if everything is centralized, that will harm the liberty of the individual. And this trend is about continuous with compared to the previous year questions. Okay, it is about criticizing the modern state from the Gandhian perspective. 3C, personal is political and women oppression. 15 marker question. Syllabus mapping, feminist theory, and rights and democracy. Obviously you have to include this perspective. Demand, this is clearly demanding theoretical unpacking of like patriarchy, public private dichotomy, and policy implications, especially in a democracy, how reproductive rights, domestic labor, and violence, how they are performing and how they are related to women rights. This is a strong interdisciplinary feminist emphasis. Okay, emphasis, that means the interaction of feminism with other areas of society. Okay, so this is about 3C. Okay, now let's see question number 4. So this is the last question in section A. This 4A, let's see, the foundational base of Western democracy has been shaped by Locke's idea of constitutionalism, freedom and property explained. Actually this particular topic we discussed a few days back in our classroom. Okay, so in classroom while I was explaining about John Locke, I told you that John Locke generally considered as father of liberal democracy. Okay, John Locke mainly supported more limited government, more accountable government, and he also supported popular sovereignty. That means the ultimate power should be with the individual, not with the state, and rule of law and right to property. So these are the details we discussed. So if you are very good with our classes and material as well, you can easily write this 20 marker question. Okay, next B, 4B, Anna Arendt analyzed a few categories of vita activa. You all know that Anna Arendt always supports people should actively participate in the society. Otherwise, if people don't actively participate in the society, if they don't actively question the government, what the government will do? Government will become dictatorship. Okay, so regarding that, regarding the vita activa, this question 15 markers 1 and 4C. Do you think that legitimacy acquired by consent or manufactured by indoctrination is an essential element in maintenance of political rule? So this is about the state. If the state is acquiring, consent either through voluntarily or involuntarily, okay, whether it is fair or not, especially in maintaining the political rule. So you have to quote relevant examples as well. So this is about 4C. Now let's see regarding the 4A with respect to John Locke. It is syllabus mapping, Western political thinking, John Locke, and John Locke view on liberal state and rights in the liberal state. Demand. So definitely you should have a good idea about John Locke's rule of law, limited government like popular sovereignty, and consent, property rights in modern democracy. Trend. This is about completely thinkers and ideology. So this is a traditional question pattern. 4B, Anna Arendt, categories of vita activa. It is about Anna Arendt. So people especially with respect to labor, work, action, and how this will promote more accountable government. That is the demand of this question. Trend. Frequently, so it is aligning with the PYQ, previous year question pattern. Next 4C, regarding the legitimacy. So legitimacy, okay, legitimacy is all about, it's about, a state, especially a state's actions will be validated. Okay, the state, whatever the activities done by the state, they remain valid and people will respect if the state is having the legitimacy. Okay, how the state can get the legitimacy? State can get the legitimacy either through consent or through indoctrination. Regarding that, so syllabus mapping, power, ideology and legitimacy, this requires Okay, normative and critical discussion using Weberian model and Gramsci hegemony and Habermas communicative legitimacy. You have to include this. This is obviously a theory and contemporary cases, because the question is asking about contemporary cases. So you have to add some contemporary example related to this 4C legitimacy. So these are the 4 questions from section A. Okay, we discussed about the syllabus mapping of the question and what the question is demanding, and the trend, whether the question pattern is aligning with the PVQ or the trend of the question is deviated. Okay, we discussed about so these 3 dimensions related to all the questions in section A. Okay, in case if this discussion is useful to you, okay, and if you are looking forward for discussion on 1B, that is section B of paper 1, and paper 2 analysis as well, please leave your opinion in comment section. So I'll try to make videos on those questions as well. And of course, if you are not a member of our PSIR classes of Telegram channel, in Telegram you can find PSIR classes by Santhosh Rausir. There you will get regular updates, regular current affairs related to polity and IR, and how our regular classes content is reflected in mains also, I already posted. For example, whatever we discussed regarding John Locke, that classroom slides I shared to you, and how our classroom discussion is reflected in today's paper. So this kind of our classroom discussion and how it is reflected in the exam paper, those regular updates also will be posted in Telegram channel. In case if you feel that this content is value to your preparation, don't forget to like this video, and if you're not subscribed to our channel, please do subscribe to our channel. That will be greatly benefited to our channel. We are targeting for 100K very soon. Thanks for watching this video. Have a great day. Jai Hind.